Booty shorts. A lot of shots were set up on the fly during principal photography by Daniel Pearl and Toby Hooper. One such shot, that Hooper would years later call the best shot in the film, was no exception. That shot, of course, being the iconic shot of Pam approaching the family house. Cinematographer Daniel Pearl was laying flat on a dolly with the camera tilted up. The goal of the shot was to make the house appear bigger and bigger in the frame as Pam approached it. Escape hatch. When Sally, Marilyn Burns, escapes by jumping out the window, the glass was actually breakaway sugar glass, made by Bob Burns and Mary Church. In fact, Mary did the stunt of jumping out the window. A mattress and some empty boxes were placed outside the window for her to land on, but setting up the shot took a long time. With the humidity of the Texas summer, the breakaway glass began to dissolve. When I went through it, I was like a glass woman because now I had little particles stuck all over me because the stuff was wet, Mary said. If they'd waited probably another 45 minutes, I don't know if there'd been any glass in those windows. Stop and turn. Gunnar Hansen's stop and turn move was an accident. The boots that Gunnar Hansen wore had 3-inch lifts to make him taller, though because of this, if he didn't stop suddenly and then turn, he would lose his balance and fall. The weight of the chainsaw also impacted his movements due to its sheer weight. So after falling on the first take, Gunnar stopped, turned, and one of Leatherface's signature moves was born. Kim Henkel would call it the Keystone move. The shot of his signature move was recreated in the unrated gameplay trailer of our game.
Hey there!
Chicken Nugget. The game's composer, Ross Tregenza, used real chickens for the audio for Nugget. He luckily had a close friend and fellow composer that owned a farm with several chickens. The name Nugget was born from brand strategy lead Matthew Zepp. The name is a nod to the longtime nickname of his nephew. Car. In one notable scene in the original film, the cook approaches the house and sees the hitchhiker. They have an altercation at the truck where the cook beats the hitchhiker with a broom handle and clearly shows off the relationship between the two characters. The reason that the scene works so well is that it's entirely real. Jim Sedow, the cook, was actually beating Ed Neal, the hitchhiker. Fake hammer, real impact. The scenes in the movie with the sledgehammer seem real, and there's good reason for that. Though the prop master Bob Burns made a fake hammer with a foam rubber head, there were still complications. Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen recalled hitting actor William Vale while filming Kirk's death scene. I was completely charged up on adrenaline, skittishly hopping back and forth as if I were speeding. So when Bill tripped and I stepped out of the shadows, I actually hit him in the face with the sledgehammer. Fake or not, it left its mark. In the pivotal dinner scene, actor Marilyn Burns, who played Sally, was actually struck and bled. I went to the bucket, said Burns, and then Grandpa hit me over the head with the other prop that was a piece of steel, a sledgehammer. That hurt. That wasn't fake. As Hansen noted, some of the blood in Sally's hair is actually Marilyn's. He really cut her. According to Gunnar Hansen, he really cut Marilyn Burns' finger in the infamous grandpa feeding scene. The prop knife, designed to pump out fake blood, wouldn't work after several takes. Finally, when no one was looking, Gunnar Hansen removed the tape from the knife that made it dull and really cut Marilyn's finger. Knowing this, that would mean that actor John Dugan, Grandpa, sucked on the actual blood of Marilyn Burns. Kim and Toby before Texas. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper met during the filming of Hooper's 1969 film Eggshells. 4 years later, they would go on to create the production company Vortex Inc. and co-create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Another Texas Chainsaw actor was also part of the Eggshells cast. Alan Danziger, better known as Jerry to Chainsaw fans, co-starred in the earlier film. The dinner scene. The infamous dinner scene was a long, trying shoot. Plastic surgeon W.E. Barnes created the makeup for Grandpa, and it took nearly 10 hours to apply to actor John Dugan. A lot of pieces and parts went into creating Grandpa's look, but because they were down to their last set of makeup parts, the crew had to shoot every scene involving Grandpa all in one day. The grueling shoot was one of the hottest days of the production, with temperatures over 100 degrees. The set windows were blacked out with black plastic in a house filled with cameras and lights that reached as high as 120 degrees inside. Because of the extreme heat on set, the food at the dinner table started to rot. The smell on set was ghastly for the entire cast and crew. All of the bones on the set were real, and combined with the lights that made them burn, released an unbearable smell. The combination of the stench with the extreme heat made a lot of the crew sick, and they'd take frequent trips outside to throw up. In the end, the brutal set brought a real rawness to the film. The shoot in total lasted nearly 32 hours for some of the crew. Makeup set. Gunnar Hansen shared a lot of praise for his fellow cast members. In the 40th anniversary Blu-ray release's audio commentary, Hansen notes that actor Jim Sedow, the cook, was probably the only actor in the movie who could look benign and then become extremely evil without any makeup. carrying a child. In the original movie shoot, the caterer, Sally Nicolau, was married to the location sound recordist, Ted Nicolau. The day they shot the meat hook scenes, Sally brought their then 3-year-old daughter, Karina, to set when she was delivering lunch. Unfortunately, little Karina saw Terry McMinn, Pam, on the meat hook and began crying and screaming. Her father recalled, "I was in the living room while we were shooting that scene, and she came running in and skidded to a stop and just went completely white, started screaming and crying, and went running out of the house." Genuine bone furnishings. The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures. Possible titles. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the first or even second title of the film. The first two working titles were Head Cheese and Leatherface. Head Cheese was the first working title of the film, though, for most of principal photography. Leatherface was the working title until late into production, when it was finally given the official title of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper intended for the title to be spelled Chainsaw, but once the press were sent information on the film, and when the original poster was produced, the spelling got twisted into Chainsaw. Cheap thrills. Screenwriter Kim Henkel has said that one of the reasons he and Tobe Hooper wanted to make a horror film was their limited budget. "If you have relatively little money, what are your possibilities?" Henkel says. The clear answer was some sort of genre piece. Horror was the easiest because we felt that we didn't have to have any names in the cast. Production values weren't nearly so important as in some other realms, so it became the natural choice. Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. "See?" I said. "It's just me." She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene. Ashtray. Actors are paid varying amounts for their work in film. For his voiceover in the opening monologue of the film, John Larroquette was paid with a single joint. Recent reports, however, suggest that his rate has gone up. Preparing for the role. To prepare for the role of Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen went to Austin State School. which was a 95-acre residential and training facility for adults with developmental disabilities. He was there several days to pick up the residents' mannerisms and how they walked and talked. It was important to Gunnar to portray the character authentically, without making a mockery of those who suffer from developmental disabilities. The Apprehension Engine. Gun Interactive's own Wes Keltner led the direction of music for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. One day, Wes was at home brainstorming, and in the background he had 2015's The Witch playing. He wasn't watching the film, but was more listening to it. The sounds and music in the film struck him as he was listening. He asked himself, what instruments are they using to make those unique sounds? It turned out, those sounds were created by an apprehension engine. Wes was able to track down Tony Dugan Smith, who makes roughly 6 of these instruments a year, and was informed that the apprehension engine took around 7 months to build. Wes then had the honor to have a meeting with film composer and creator of music for The Witch, Mark Corvin. It was at this meeting where Corvin said, "Forget everything you know about playing guitar and other instruments. Approach the apprehension engine like a child, and experience and discover." From there, the direction of sounds for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game were born. One outfit, 32 days. Actors only had one set of their wardrobe. The actors had to wear the same clothing for the entire 32-day shoot, 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. For fear of fading or being damaged, they couldn't wash the clothes. So the actors wore the same clothes unwashed for 32 days straight, in 95 to 100-degree Texas heat. According to the crew, Gunnar Hansen stunk of body odor worse than anyone on set by the end of the shoot. Box office success. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre grossed over $30 million at the box office in North America and sold over 16 million tickets. With inflation, the film would have made over $150 million in box office earnings today. Spring of '73. Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper spent January and February of 1973 writing the script, but production moved on rather quickly after that. They were shooting the movie by summer of 1973. Production manager Ron Bozeman would go on to work on another film that featured cannibalism. In 1992, he won an Academy Award as a producer for The Silence of the Lambs. Hitchhiker's Camera. The make and model of the Hitchhiker's Camera is a Polaroid automatic 230 land camera. It was manufactured and distributed from 1967 to 1969. This camera previously belonged to Maria Flores. The hitchhiker stole it after she was stalked and kidnapped by Johnny. Sissy's Straight Razor. After Kim Henkel and creative director Ronnie Hobbs finished designing Sissy's look and backstory, the only question left was what type of weapon would she carry. According to Kim's secret catalog of character concepts, he always envisioned Sissy wielding some type of straight razor, a small, portable weapon that could stay hidden until just the right time. It's petite and deadly, just like Sissy. It fit her personality perfectly. So even though the hitchhiker carries it in the original 1974 film, it did in fact previously belong to Sissy. As far as what happened to her, or where Sissy is during the 1974 film, well, that's a story for another time. Hitchhiker's Pocket Knife. This weapon is a nod to everyone's favorite unlikable character, Franklin, from the 1974 film. According to creative director Ronnie Hobbs and designer Rob Fox, they knew the likelihood of Franklin ever appearing in the video game was slim to none, so this was their way of including him as a small Easter egg. Jim Seadow's toughest scene to get right was the broomstick clubbing at the gas station. Since the prop was an actual wooden broom handle, he was afraid of hurting his fellow actor in the scene. After several takes of it looking fake, Seadow really struck his fellow actor in the final take. It was an exhausting shoot for everyone, but Marilyn Burns had it as bad as anyone on set. She did several takes of diving through the doorway of the gas station, and each time she would land knee first on the hard concrete floor, so many times that the floor tore up and severely bruised her knees. News of the day. Tobe Hooper wanted to parody the news reports of the day, which he considered televised lies, and so devised the opening voiceover, famously recited by actor John Larroquette. Toby meets the cook. Director Tobe Hooper offered the part of the old man, the cook, to Jim Seadow after they worked together in the 1971 film The Wind Splitter. They were both a part of the cast in said film. Hooper and Seadow weren't the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre alumni to work on The Wind Splitter. Ron Bozeman was the key grip, Kim Henkel was credited as the grip, and Sally Richardson was the assistant director. Family name. The family has gone by several surnames throughout the course of the franchise. However, their original surname is Slaughter. Though never spoken in the movie, it can be seen in faint letters on the sign above the gas station, W.E. Slaughter Barbecue. According to Gunnar Hansen, art director Bob Burns made the sign. He said that Toby and Kim were mighty proud of coming up with We Slaughter. Grandma's rocking chair. The remains of the mummified grandma, or even any mention of grandma, was not in the original script. Art director Bob Burns added her into the set to show that there were women in the family's history. The Hitchhiker's origins. According to actor Edwin Neal, he based his performance of the hitchhiker on his nephew, who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. Skin lampshades. Why was the film marketed as being based on true events? According to Kim Henkel, the film's marketing of being based on true events evolved over production. The famous crawl, for instance, was implemented to mark the story as an historical event that was more captivating, but wasn't meant to be taken seriously. Another inspiration for the story were tales Tobe Hooper was told by his family as a young child. They told him stories of a killer from Wisconsin that would use human skin for lampshades. This Wisconsin killer was the infamous Ed Gein. Blood spatter. One of the reasons that blood and gore are limited in the film is because Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel felt that fear and intensity were more important. According to screenwriter Kim Henkel, He and Toby Hooper reached out to the MPAA to discuss the guidelines to avoid getting slapped with an X rating. Apparently, the investors of the film were terrified that the film would get an X rating, so all these thoughts were front of mind during production. Ultimately, Hooper and Henkel's original vision of inflicting fear and intensity with the gore and blood implied worked to the film's benefit and made a bigger impact. Skin. The practical effects of Leatherface's skin mask proved a difficult The practical effects of Leatherface's skin mask proved a difficult challenge for Bob Burns, the art director for the film. Mary Church, who had multiple responsibilities on the original film, including continuity and stunt coordination, noted that Bob spent weeks trying to come up with just homemade varieties of stuff that sort of looked like dried skin. I remember him being concerned about expression, or not being able to do expression, and that there probably needed to be other expressions maybe on face. Fake blood. The blood splatter effect on Leatherface's apron during the Franklin death scene required corn syrup, food coloring, and a lot of spitting. Makeup artist Dorothy Dottie Pearl, director Toby Hooper, and even boom operator Wayne Bell knelt by Franklin during the shooting. As Leatherface slashed, the three took mouthfuls of blood and spit it at him. "For me, this was just a delight," said Bell. "I care nothing about horror movies, but this was pretty playful." Toby Hooper found novel ways to introduce drama into his picture. According to lead Marilyn Burns, Sally, Hooper would gossip around the set to create animosity between her and Paul Partain, who played Franklin. Toby would come up and tell me that Paul said something about me. Then Toby was going to Paul saying Marilyn said something about you, getting us really upset with each other. So we're doing this scene that didn't require any acting at all. I was ready to kill him. Masks.
Thank God! Listen to me. My name is Maria. Maria Flores. Please, find a way to get me out of here. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. Please.
Stretch of road. Gunnar Hansen had several weeks to physically prepare for his role as Leatherface. I started walking in my neighborhood before dawn, but quickly tired of the dogs chasing me. So I found a field, paced off a mile, and then started walking and jogging. Soon I was jogging that mile, and eventually I could run the entire distance. gallows meat hook. After speaking with the MPAA and because of effect limitations, Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel made the decision to do the meat hooking scene without blood or gore. Production assistant Dorothy Pearl created a harness with a saddle that Terry McMinn, Pam, could wear. It was completed with nude stockings that crisscrossed the actress's body in the front and the back. The longest McMinn could hang on the hook with the harness was about 1 minute. Dorothy Pearl had to design the harness with the female anatomy in mind because all the weight was being distributed to the actress's lower region. According to the film's screenwriter Kim Henkel, one of the inspirations for the infamous meat hook scene was a scene in the 1931 film Frankenstein.